Welcome to Just a Minute. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Hello, my name is Nicholas Parsons, and as the minute waltz fades away, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this special edition of Just a Minute from BBC Television Centre. After 45 years of entertaining via the radio, we thought it was about time to perform this show for your viewing pleasure. So without further ado, please welcome to the show four talented and delightful performers. And they are, seated on my right, Paul Merton and Sue Perkins, and seated on my left, Ruth Jones and Marcus Brigstock. Please welcome all four of them. The players will try to speak for just a minute on a subject that I give them, and then must try and do that without hesitation, repetition, or deviation. The other three panellists can challenge at any time they wish, and if I uphold the challenge, they gain a point, and they take over the subject, and if not, the person speaking gains a point and keeps the subject. And we go on like that until the whistle goes. And by the way, they can repeat the subject on the card. Paul, the subject here is common misconceptions. 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
Humphrey Bogart in Play It Again, Sam, which wasn't the name of the film, it's Casablanca. He never said those words, in fact. There's a common misconception that school days are the happiest of your life. It's something people often say as well, as if somehow the misery of being in some educational establishment where your name may be construed by other students who turn it into some...
Ruth, challenge.
How does one construe or misconstrue a name?
I don't know.
Oh.
This has got very metaphysical very quickly.
I know. Right.
What's your challenge?
What's your challenge, Ryan?
That what you propose is actually impossible.
I better shut up for the rest of the show then, hadn't I?
Ruth, as you've never played the game before, I think I'm going to be generous and give you the benefit of the doubt and say you have a correct challenge, you have a point for that, and it's common misconceptions. 40 seconds still available, starting now.
There's a very common misconception in my household, and that is that I can do housework. It's not something that I'm particularly allergic to, it's just that I don't ever want to do it. So what I tend to do is try and get other people in my household to do it.
It's a repetition of household.
Yes, and
Yeah.
also do...
Like a second homeowner.
Yes, right. So, Marcus, you had a correct challenge.
Yeah.
You take over the subject. You get a point, of course, for that. Yes. Common misconceptions, starting now.
John McCririck, the racing commentator, is both common and was misconceived. I don't like him. This is a misconception that people have. Other...
As I said earlier, that whistle tells us 60 seconds have elapsed, and whoever is speaking then gets an extra point, and it was Marcus Brigstock, who's naturally in the lead at the end of that round. Marcus, we'd like you to begin the next round.
OK.
And the subject is night school. Can you tell us something about night school in this game, starting now?
I am very glad to have this subject because I actually went to night school with Sir Galahad. And it was there that I was first shown how to put on armour and charge around the country on behalf of King Arthur in a search for the Holy Grail. Night school is a very enjoyable place if you have a lance and a pony. And other than that, I would say that it's mainly filled up with very lonely people trying to meet other...
Sue, you've challenged.
Repetition of very.
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Very,
very.
very, yes. So, correct challenge, 33 seconds. You tell us something about night school in this game, starting now.
Marcus's night school isn't so interesting if you're a lady. You have to hang around like Guinevere and grow your hair, sometimes wear a pointy hat and wait on a turret for a man to come and rescue you, preferably with a white charger. Now, when I see said beautiful albino pony coming towards me, I know that safety is at hand. I will once again be able to...
Paul, challenge.
Have we strayed a little away from night school?
A major stray from it.
Yes.
And you should nowhere near night school, as far as I was concerned.
Well, I was on a turret overlooking night school.
You didn't establish that night was the nights with the beginning with a K.
Don't be strict with me, Nicholas.
I'm not strict,
Keep the
darling.
love alive.
Not another one, Nicholas.
Yeah.
Over 45 years, no one's been safe.
Girl in every port.
On every show, right the way... Paul, a correct challenge. And you have night school, have 14 seconds starting now.
I never attended night school. I suppose I went to some evening classes round about 1980. There were some acting lessons being taught at Sutton Library by this gentleman who sold fridges during the day. And I went along and I didn't really pick up a great deal, but...
So Paul Merton is then speaking as the whistle went. Gained an extra point. He's moved forward. He's in second place, but it's early days, isn't it? Sue Perkins.
Yes.
Will you begin the next round? The subject, whodunit. You tell us something about whodunit in this game starting now.
The word whodunit refers to a plot-heavy crime thriller that reached its peak in the 1920s. It's quintessentially a British genre, and I would say its greatest exponent is Agatha Christie, who pioneered the use of the locked room. There is essentially a space that no one can get in or out of, in which she piled it high with stock characters, such as the American industrial magnate, the young floozy, the ingenue, the virginal young boy who was yet...
Oh, yes, Marcus.
Repetition of young.
It was too young, yes. The young floozy.
Very good, though.
Thank you.
You were
Very
drunk.
good.
Sorry.
Very good. You've spoilt it for everyone
Yes, I
now.
know.
I know.
We're all enjoying that.
It's a game.
And Marcus, you had a correct challenge, and you've got 26 seconds. You tell us something about whodunit starting now.
When I was growing up, the question of who done it was normally answered by my father, who'd say it was the dog. And then everybody would move away from the dog and towards...
Oh, yes,
Oh,
Sue
of course,
challenged.
the dog.
Double dog.
Twice on the dog.
Oh, Sue, you challenged first, yes?
Yes, repetition of dog.
Dog, yes, the dog came into once. Sue, you have the dog. No, you don't. You have whodunit. And
I'll have whatever you give me, Nicholas.
there are 18 seconds, Sue, starting now.
There are some great whodunit writers, Dorothy L. Sayers, Ruth Rendell. I've mentioned, obviously, the most famous, whose creation, Hercule Poirot, the mustachioed Belgian, remains foremost in our minds when we think of a person most likely to detect a crime. There he...
Oh, Paul, you've
I
got him.
disagree. I would say Sherlock Holmes. I'd say he comes to mind with solving the crime before Hercule Poirot. Or matter of opinion, of course.
Matter
Or
of
Brian
no.
Paddock as well.
Yes.
Poirot, Paddock, Holmes, they're all very much of a type.
I know. And Paul, you've got him with 1 second to go.
I'm sorry, I withdraw my challenge.
It's a matter of opinion who you think is the
It
best.
is, it is.
And she has an incorrect challenge. And, as I said before, 1 second to go, starting now.
Miss Marple will be furious because she thinks she's the best detective.
So, Sue Perkins, the world speaker for this away and gained an extra point. And at the end of that round, she's taken the lead, just one ahead of Paul Merton. Paul, I'm sure this has been chosen for you because you did a programme about it. Ibiza. Tell us something about that place in this game, starting now.
You're quite right. It was subject of a travelogue I did earlier this year. Ibiza is where I went, the great island paradise that people sometimes see as the ultimate party destination. But when you see beyond the clubs that are there, you realise it's a beautiful island full of wonderful history.
Sue challenge.
Repetition of island.
Yes,
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, sir. Sue, you were listening well. You got in with 45 seconds to go on Ibiza, starting now.
Last time I went to Ibiza, Paul Merton was there making a documentary. He was dressed scantily in lycra, doing a seemingly sexual dance which involved...
Ruth challenge.
I think that is quite disturbing for the audience. that actual image.
It was actually nothing disturbing about seeing Paul at full tilt on
Really?
the dance floor. Yeah.
But
In
I
lycra.
saw the programme. I don't think he ever wore lycra.
No.
No.
This
was worse than that.
Yeah. this was in his spare time, Nicholas.
So, Ruth, we give you the benefit of the doubt, and you have 37 seconds on Ibiza, starting now.
I went to Ibiza when I was 4 years of age. It was the first holiday that I ever was taken on by my parents, who also had 2 boys that they took with them, who were my brothers, and also a sister who was not yet born. But she was inside my mother's belly because my mother...
Sue challenge.
I thought repetition of mother, but I'm wrong. I think... It might actually... Yes, it might have been a repetition of Mother.
Yes, she went with her mother at the beginning.
Yes.
She said went with her mother.
See, I had a crisis of confidence and I've overcome it now.
So she did mention Mother more than once. Sue, you were listening well. You've got him with 21 seconds on Ibiza, starting now.
I've actually never been to Ibiza, truth be told. It strikes fear into my heart because I'm...
Ruth, challenge.
Hesitation on strikes.
Yes, a little bit of hesitation
Yeah.
there. Ruth, you had a correct challenge. So you have the subject of Ibiza, 17 seconds still, starting now.
Ibiza is surrounded by water, as is the case with many islands. And in fact, you can jump off all sorts of sides of the island, especially in Ibiza.
And Marcus challenge.
Repetition of island.
Yes.
Yes, again.
I thought it wasn't it islands and island? Plural and single.
Yes, you're right. It was intentional.
Yes.
So Marcus, an incorrect challenge.
Yes.
So Ruth Jones has another point, and she's still got the subject, and she's 8 seconds still to go on Ibiza, starting now.
In Ibiza, you can buy the most delicious chocolate ice cream. I don't know why it is so different from other glasses or types of dessert.
Marcus challenge.
Even in French, that's glass. So deviation from any recognised language.
She was searching for another way to say ice cream and wanted to say glacé, but Marcus, you've cleverly got in with 1 second to go. You've won no friends in this audience. But you have got the subject.
So I'm used
and
to
another
that.
point, of course. And you have 1 second Ibiza, starting now.
I've been to Pasha. I was much too old for it, but I had fun.
So Marcus Brigstock was then speaking, and the whistle went. He's moved forward. He's equal with Paul Merton in second place. They're behind Sue Perkins, who's in the lead. Marcus, we'd like you to begin the next round. The subject is chat-up lines.
Oh, hello.
I'm sure you have many for us to tell. 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
I've never really been smooth enough to pull off the chat-up line, but I have been studying one of the great masters, and that is, of course, Mr. Nicholas Parsons, who, just before we began playing this evening, turned to the panellists sitting immediately to my right and said, "Was your father a thief?" At which point Ruth punched him immediately in the face, and Nicholas lay on the floor saying...
Paul.
Sadly, repetition of Nicholas.
That's nothing sad about that. The world needs more of them.
Yes, I quite enjoy hearing
Did
it,
you?
too, yes. But it wasn't true, of course. She didn't punch me. She wouldn't punch somebody. I was telling her how glorious she looked. I wasn't chancing my arm. Don't misunderstand.
You're a silver fox.
I've reached the age where you can do a provocative chat-up line and they know you're no threat. Right, Paul, you had a correct challenge.
Oh, do I? All right.
Yes, chat-up lines, 39 seconds starting now.
Is that a demob suit you're wearing? Would be the ultimate anti-chat-up line because it wouldn't impress anybody. I wasn't a bit like Marcus, any good at chat-up lines.
Ruth challenge.
You said eyes wasn't.
You hesitated.
Sorry, yes,
You
I'm working
hesitate.
class. I do apologise. Awfully sorry.
I don't think it matters what class you are. I think it's bad grammar.
It is indeed.
And Ruth has a correct challenge, and she has 32 seconds on chat-up lines, Ruth, starting now.
The worst chat-up line I ever heard was when somebody said to me, "Oh, do you want to get out of those wet clothes?"
Sue challenge first.
Hesitation.
Darling, will you explain to me, what was that about?
Well,
That's hot
Yeah.
stuff, Nicholas. Like,
do you want to...
oh,
I thought that was them wetting the clothes.
It was.
I think it was a ghastly chat-up line. Anyway, Sue, you challenged on it correctly. So, 25 seconds, chat-up lines starting now.
the worst chat-up line was given to me by a 10-year-old boy in Paisley after a show. It is so disgusting. I cannot possibly allow it on broadcast.
Sue, Ruth challenged.
Paisley is a lovely pattern, and I think you're incorrect for saying that it's disgusting.
Well, but Paisley, Glasgow, it was also a lovely place. They have 10-year-old boys with potty mouths.
And
Write it down.
I do think she was referring to the area...
I stand corrected.
Up on the west coast of near Glasgow, Paisley. And so, incorrect challenge. So you have the subject still. What are you writing down?
He was 10 years old.
10 years old.
I do understand you're keeping that for future use.
Yes.
Ruth, it was an incorrect challenge. So,
I
Sue, you
apologise.
still have the subject, and you have 17 seconds on chat-up lines starting now.
Are there still men around who go to young women saying things like, do you like your eggs fertilised or unfertilised in the morning? I can't believe it.
Who's challenged? Ruth,
Repetition of the word like.
do you like your eggs fertilised? Or
Saying things like, do you like?
2 likes.
Yeah. Couple of likes.
She's never played the game before. Another point to you, Ruth. You have the subject, and there are 10 seconds still. Chat-up lines starting now.
Chatting someone up is a very difficult thing to do because one...
Marcus challenged.
No, it's not.
But Marcus, we enjoyed your interruption so much, we give you a bonus point for that. But Ruth was interrupted.
And the disrespect of womankind forever.
And you...
It's worth it for the bonus point.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, of course. And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fun we have. Right. So, Ruth, it was an incorrect challenge. You have another point, and you still have 7 seconds on chat-up lines starting now.
Meeting someone for the first time can be daunting, and one has to think of something suitable to say that will not make anyone...
So, Ruth Jones was then speaking as the whistle went. Gained that extra point. And you will be pleased and surprised, I'm sure, to hear that she's moved forward. She's in the lead with Sue Perkins. And Marcus Brigstock and Paul Merton are equal in second place. Ruth, it's your turn to begin, and the subject is the art of fencing. 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
Putting up a fence in one's garden can be very difficult because if you don't get the height correct, then your fence will look rather strange. It will fall down, it will look uneven.
Right, Sue challenged.
It will fall down, it will look uneven.
Yes. So, Sue, you got in with 49 seconds to go on the art of fencing, starting now.
The trick with the art of fencing is to not make your opponent laugh, seeing as you are dressed as a cross between a beekeeper and a mummy. Parrying, lunging may look incredibly debonair, but ultimately you've got a knitting needle in one hand and a teapot arm on the other. It doesn't strike fear into the heart of someone who may wish to enter into a bout with you. Instead, they're more than likely to be reduced to a flood of tears and hysterical laughter. Instead, I suggest try a cannon, much more powerful at close range, plus you don't need the precision. However, fencing we're discussing, and so we must focus on the specifics, which luckily I am very well versed in, because I am Croydon's premier fencer. How I love to grab that foil, as I believe it is.
So, Sue Perkins took the subject after only a few seconds and went magnificently to the whistle and gained only 1 point for doing so. But, Sue, you have gone into the lead now. You're 2 ahead of Ruth Jones and you're 3 or 4 ahead of Marcus Brigstock and Paul Merton. Oh. And we've now got the subject. I'm really embarrassed about this subject they've given me. Because the subject is Nicholas Parsons. What's going to happen? And Sue Perkins, it's your turn to begin. So off you go on Nicholas Parsons. Oh, no, I don't mean that.
It's not Christmas!
On the subject of Nicholas Parsons, 60 seconds starting now.
Nicholas Parsons was born before records began, but we do know he was friends with Methuselah. Aged 24, he struck a deal with Mephistopheles so that he would never age.
Ruth.
Did you say Mephistopheles?
Mephistopheles.
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 I think you said meth.
I don't think we get quite as pernickety as that, darling. I think we
One
all...
is desperate sometimes.
Yes, I know. Anyway, you could have had a variation. I wasn't around when Mephistopheles was around, I can assure you.
Nobody's doubting that. It's just the pronunciation that we're worried about.
Your challenge was actually incorrect, so Sue has another point. 47 seconds to speak about Nicholas Parsons, starting now.
Nicholas Parsons invented show business in 1847 and pioneered the use of the cravat, which he still sports, although he compares it sometimes with a lovely polka dot tie. There is nothing so erotic as the sight of Nicholas Parsons. Intervention! Intervention! I've done it again, Paul. I've done it again.
Oh, Paul, I know you're
There are
challenged.
limits, aren't there?
Yes, I'm afraid. I have to admit, I don't think I'm erotic.
You'll never know now.
I'm neurotic, yes. Paul, I have to agree. You have a correct challenge, and you have 31 seconds. Tell us something about Nicholas Parsons, starting now.
His career began back in the 1940s on radio in a show called Much Binding in the Marsh, and I heard one of those particular episodes on Radio 4 Extra only the other Sunday.
Marcus challenge.
A repetition of radio.
Oh, yes,
yes,
of
you
course. I was
did,
trying to
you
avoid BBC. Because of the repetition of B, but I said radio.
Yes,
yeah.
right. So, Marcus, a correct challenge. And you've got in on the subject of Nicholas Parsons, and there's 22 seconds available starting now.
I'm at something of a disadvantage on this subject because I've never heard of this Nicholas Parsons character. He sounds delightful and fascinating.
Sue challenge.
Deviation from sense. Everybody's heard of Nicholas Parsons.
That's worthy of a bonus point, isn't it? I'm not going to give it to you out of conceit and say that you deserve that, but out of the fact that I'm on the show, and you say you haven't heard of Nicholas Parsons, and you're appearing in a show with Nicholas Parsons.
Do you know him?
I thought... You're Nicholas Parsons?
What, the Nicholas Parsons?
I thought you were a mythical creature.
For Nicholas Parsons.
What do I say now? Marcus, we enjoyed your interruption. You get a bonus
No,
point
I
for
was
that.
speaking. It was Sue interrupted me.
I did interrupt.
But I enjoyed her interruption.
Did you enjoy
I did.
So Sue gets a point because she was
Yes.
interrupted, takes over the subject, but you get a bonus point
Oh,
because of
good.
your humour that you instilled
Oh,
into
splendid.
the
Good, yes.
conversation. Right. And
And who gets the subject?
you do.
What?
15
Oh,
seconds
okay.
to go, starting now.
There is nothing greater than Nicholas Parsons. He is the show leader part.
Paul challenge.
Did we have show business before?
Yes.
Oh, show business is one word, though, isn't it?
Is it now that?
No,
Is it
no,
one
it
word?
isn't.
Is show business one word?
I'm going to assume it's 2 words
Yes, do.
and say Paul has the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
And if I get lots of letters, I don't think I'll bother to reply to them. And there's still 10 seconds to go, Paul. Nicholas Parsons, starting now.
Nicholas Parsons is someone I've known since roughly 1987, and what a magnificent creature he is. We first met on a television programme being made in Liverpool called Scruples.
So, Paul Martin, speaking as the whistle went, gained that extra point, but he's still in 3rd place. It's very close, actually. Only 1 point separates them all. And in ascending order, it's Marcus Brigstock, Paul Merton, Ruth Jones and Sue Perkins. And we're with you.
Come in.
Isn't that charming? That little delicate bell tells us not they're going to bring the ice cream round, but it tells us that we only have time for 1 more round. I expected more reaction than that, actually. Anyway, we have 1 more round to go, and in Marcus, it's your turn to begin.
Oh, good.
Oh, and the subject now, that's an interesting one. My bucket list. 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
I have a bucket list, and it includes a red bucket, a blue one, 2 green, and 1 that I call Daisy that has...
Ruth's challenge.
Repetition of the word one.
Yes, true.
Well
That's
done.
true. Yeah.
So, Ruth, you've gone in cleverly with 52 seconds to go on my bucket list, starting now.
My bucket list is a film about 2 men who decide what they would like to do before they die. An item on the list of one of the men who appears in the film called the...
Sue challenge.
2 men. Was it
yeah.
Yes. Too many men in your life, darling.
Too many men.
Sue, a correct challenge. You have the subject. My bucket list, 40 seconds, starting now.
Were I presented with the possibility of death, which I'm still hoping to elude thanks to my magical elixir, yours for only $15.99, I would be...
Marcus challenge.
What? Deviation. This is the BBC. You can't advertise.
Not even an elixir of youth?
No,
Come on.
not even an elixir of youth. The closest the BBC gets to advertising is wasting about 8 million quid teaching hippos to dance.
I don't believe there's any elixir which will give you everlasting
I
life.
said I'm working on it. I'm not there yet.
No.
To be fair, if anyone knows whether there's an elixir to give everlasting life, it is Nicholas Parsons.
Yes. Vampire.
The benefit of the doubt to you again, and you have my bucket list. 32 seconds starting now.
On my bucket list is a strong desire to go down the Cresta run on one of those trays that they use for bobsledding and leaning into every turn and corner. It would be tremendously exciting and probably kill me, so it would necessitate the...
Sue Challenge.
hesitation?
That was a
There was a
hesitation,
slight one,
yes.
yeah,
A
yeah.
slight one. So you have the subject back again, Sue. 19 seconds. My bucket list starting now.
I would bungee jump off a bridge in Sydney. Attempt the world 100-metre record. I would breed llamas.
Marcus
I
Challenge.
wouldn't normally, but it's the last round and I know I'm last and you repeated I would.
I did.
Yes, you did indeed. So, Marcus, 11 seconds. My bucket list starting now.
On my bucket list would be the chance to improve my position on the programme Just a Minute. That is pretty much all I wish for between now and death, which will probably come when the pinger goes at the end.
Paul Challenge.
I don't think it's a pinger.
No. It is a whistle, and it has been for 45 years.
Yeah, they're not pingers either, they're buzzers,
These are
aren't
buzzers.
they?
Those are buzzers.
What is a
Yeah.
pinger?
It's the opposite of a ponger.
No, I think a pinger is the thing that tells you when the oven is
Yes,
finished
that's
cooking.
right.
Or your
and then-
flight's been called.
Anybody else got any suggestions? Paul, it was a correct challenge, and you've got in with half a second to go. It won't make a lot of difference to the final situation, but we'd love to hear from you on my bucket list, starting now.
Well, given the time available, given it was only half a second, I reckon hesitation.
You both went in at the same time.
I think he should have gone really quickly.
Yeah, I think he couldn't go any quicker.
Really?
So the benefit of the doubt to you on this occasion, Paul.
Got another point.
Another point. And there is a quarter of a second starting
My bucket
now.
list is bucket list, bucket list, bucket list, bucket list, bucket list.
Marcus Brigstock and Paul Merton are equal in third place. Oh. But out in the lead, well, was Ruth Jones, who's never played the game before. In second place, congratulations, Ruth. Very well done. But the one with the most points, so we say she is the winner, and that is Sue Perkins. It only remains for me to say thank you to these four fine players of the game. So it's goodbye from this delightful audience here at the Television Centre, goodbye from me, Nicholas Parsons, and goodbye from the panel up here. So do join us again the next time we take to your screens and we play Just a Minute!
And starting now over on BBC Radio 4, comedy with Stephen K. Amos and his pick of the circuit's best stand-ups as they build an idiot's guide to life. Here on BBC 2 next, the Italian mob are taking on the Eggheads.
Welcome to Just a Minute. My name is Nicholas Parsons, and as the minute waltz fades away, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this special edition of Just a Minute from BBC Television Centre. After 45 years of entertaining via the radio, we thought it was about time to perform this show for your viewing pleasure. So without further ado, please welcome to the show four talented and delightful performers. And they are, seated on my right, Paul Merton and Sue Perkins, and seated on my left, Ruth Jones and Marcus Brigstock. Please welcome all four of them. players will try to speak for just a minute on a subject that I give them, and then must try and do that without hesitation, repetition, or deviation. The other three panellists can challenge at any time they wish, and if I uphold the challenge, they gain a point, and they take over the subject, and if not, the person speaking gains a point and keeps the subject. And we go on like that until the whistle goes. And by the way, they can repeat the subject on the card. Paul, the subject here is common misconceptions. 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
Humphrey Bogart in Play It Again, Sam, which wasn't the name of the film, it's Casablanca. He never said those words, in fact. There's a common misconception that school days are the happiest of your life, is something people often say as well, as if somehow the misery of being in some educational establishment where your name may be construed by other students who turn it into some...
Ruth, challenge.
How does one construe or misconstrue a name?
I don't know.
Oh.
This has got very metaphysical very quickly.
I know. Right.
What's your challenge?
What's your challenge, Ryan?
That what you propose is actually impossible.
I better shut up for the rest of the show then, hadn't I?
Ruth, as you've never played the game before, I think I'm going to be generous and give you the benefit of the doubt and say you have a correct challenge, you have a point for that, and it's common misconceptions. 40 seconds still available, starting now.
There's a very common misconception in my household, and that is that I can do housework. It's not something that I'm particularly allergic to, it's just that I don't ever want to do it. So what I tend to do is try and get other people in my household to do it.
That's a repetition of household.
Yes, and
Yeah.
also do...
Like a second homeowner.
Yes, right. So, Marcus, you had a correct challenge.
Yeah.
You take over the subject. You get a point, of course, for that. Common misconceptions, starting now.
John McCririck, the racing commentator, is both common and was misconceived. I don't like him. This is a misconception that people have. Other...
As I said earlier, that whistle tells us 60 seconds have elapsed, and whoever's speaking then gets an extra point. And it was Marcus Brigstock who's naturally in the lead at the end of that round. Marcus, we'd like you to begin the next round.
OK.
And the subject is night school. Can you tell us something about night school in this game, starting now?
I am very glad to have this subject because I actually went to night school with Sir Galahad. And it was there that I was first shown how to put on armour and charge around the country on behalf of King Arthur in a search for the Holy Grail. Night school is a very enjoyable place if you have a lance and a pony. And other than that, I would say that it's mainly filled up with very lonely people trying to meet other...
Sue, you've challenged.
Repetition of very.
Yes.
Oh, yes,
That was a bit
very,
too much.
very.
Very, very, yes. So, correct challenge, 33 seconds. You tell us something about night school in this game, starting now.
Marcus's night school isn't so interesting if you're a lady. You have to hang around like Guinevere and grow your hair, sometimes wear a pointy hat and wait on a turret for a man to come and rescue you, preferably with a white charger. Now, when I see said beautiful albino pony coming towards me, I know that safety is at hand. I will once again be able to...
Paul, challenge.
Have we strayed a little away from night school?
A major
Yes.
stray from it.
Yes.
And you should nowhere near night school, as far as I was concerned.
Well, I was on a turret overlooking night school.
You didn't establish that night was the nights with the beginning with a K.
Don't be strict with me, Nicholas.
I'm not strict,
Keep the
darling.
love alive.
Not another one, Nicholas.
Yeah.
Over 45 years, no one's been safe.
Girl in every port.
On every show, right the way... Paul, a correct challenge. And you have night school, have 14 seconds starting now.
I never attended night school. I suppose I went to some evening classes round about 1980. There were some acting lessons being taught at Sutton Library by this gentleman who sold fridges during the day. And I went along and I didn't really pick up a great deal, but...
So Paul Merton, as I was speaking as the whistle went, gained an extra point. He's moved forward. He's in second place, but it's early days, isn't it? Sue Perkins.
Yes.
Will you begin the next round? The subject